Hey people, Intro here, 53, Catering and Purification Plant, blue team. You have some Orks, this is Tekesh, and a Warboss, a melee hero walking through objects, very good offense, disruption and support from the front line alongside MangoCheese, and a Kommando knob, an infiltrating hero that shoots you, stabs you and blows you up. Orky style begins with a twin link shooter. Rounding off this team, Salad Tosser and a Plague Champion starts off with a damage over time bolt gun, can get to melee weapons, debilitates enemies and supports allies, can also repair. On the red team, Piluco's got a Lord General. Fighting in ranged combat begins with a retinue, can add to this retinue throughout the game, given a bunch of abilities, has strong defense and support. Alongside, it's Bob, don't worry, Bob's here. And we have Rogue Trader Von Valancius, also known as Handsome Sodding. They are rocking Brother Captains, durable heroes that walk through objects and cannot be suppressed with powerful offense and support, fighting in melee. I love the idea of a Brother Captain just called Bob. And they're going to be together on this west side. Orks will still have the numbers advantage, Kommando's being all sneaky, and he can open up with that twin link shooter he's got. Stun bomb goes in, that twin link shooter is like 35 DPS, but it delivers it in a big burst, which is quite nasty. He's also got 23 melee DPS, I think, the Kommando. It's kind of nuts, since he's also got 670 hit points and can infiltrate. He's quite mental, that fella, especially in the early fights, the early engagements. The Kommando's pretty crazy. Headbutting that strike squad to death. Two models now looking to flee. Brother Captain's mixing it up in the mid. On the VP here, that's Handsome Sodding retreating first. Bob will pick up the slack. Sluggers need to retreat. There we go. They do have their burners though. Gives them some power weapons. Makes them more of a threat to those early low-level heroes. Bob is now chasing off some shooters. Both of the Orc players with double shooter boys, by the way. Kommando and Warboss barely scratched here. Bob's going to need to run pretty soon. There he goes. Purgation on the way for Bob. More guardsmen for Piluco after the Sentinel. Very experienced Imperial Guard player, Piluco. So he knows how to use that Sentinel. We'll see how it fares on this kind of narrow eastern lane. Contested power is uncapped because Piluco's busy bashing the natural power of Salad Tosser, starting a little bit slowly with just the CSM, now into Noise Marines, can go a bit quicker, a bit more tempo if he gets second Heretics out. He's taking his time, building up. Chaos Space Marines getting stomped. Noise Marines are now in. They have a Sonic Blaster. And they also have this. This is Cacophony. Knocks down all nearby infantry, allied and enemy. But they've got that Sonic Blaster, there it is, that will shake apart structures and disable ranged weapons. Also does a fair amount of anti-infantry damage. And of course there is a natural power in the northeast that Sadatos will be looking to go for now with that Noise Marines. Pathogen's on the way now for Piluco. They can disrupt the Noise Marines, we'll see how it goes. Strike Squad with the energy burst to slow down the shooter boys, who then get some Daka in. Aiming what's that to suppress. Looters on the field for MangoCheese. Not sure what all this mango nomenclature we're seeing in the Elite mod these days is. Some kind of inside joke that I'm not aware of. Lots and lots of mangoes. Here's the Purgation Squad then with the Incinerator. They both have one, both of these Brother Captain players. Suppression on hit. Well, suppression after some hitting does a large amount of courage damage, which is what denotes when something gets suppressed. They also have the awesome Purge Soul, which will slow down and do percentage-based damage. Usually it's used on single entities such as this very angry Warboss here. We'll see how it goes. Can they cap this side without getting Daka to death? Strike Squad are trying. Purgation will take over. Here come some sluggers though from the flank. Shooter boys following them in. Are they going to get suppressed in time? They do. They're trying to tough it out. Okay, now they run. And there's the Purge Soul on the Warboss. Great way to control a dangerous melee hero, especially early on. Warboss got a Bang Bang Hammer though, just crunched one of those Strat Squad to death, and a Boss Pole to buff up all these Orks. Plague Champion back at base. Looks like he almost bashed that gen. I'm not sure if something else got bashed and rebuilt, but Piluco here straight back onto the power southeast with Carthaginian Devils. Very versatile squad that can disrupt, suppress, support, and they're dangerous in melee. They can do a whole lot for you, these guys. They are always a prime target in Tier 1, which takes a lot of pressure off the Sentinel, actually. Just got a stomp in there. Commando's just hanging out. Are you going to help here, bud? He's got his Assassin's Knife. Here he comes. 70 DPS with tripper shot. and the awesome Assassinate. There's a stun bomb. Using move to dodge it there with the Catechins, thanks to the shotguns. Guardsmen didn't bother dodging it. I think they want to be close by the Sentinel as well. Heretics with the Doom Blast and backing off. They have the Sparring Champion. Bile Spirit in for the Plague Champion now. So he can do some very, very quick power bashes with the Noise Marines and that Bile Spewer. This kind of dissolves structures very well. Also a powerful anti-infantry weapon, but you need to get quite close for it. You see here, punishing him for trying to get in. You can set up approaches with maybe throwing the Heretics in first, or jumping in with Raptors, or deploying your Noise Marines first. These guys also need to get kind of close to get their shots off. That grenade barrage was from the Catechins, and the Heretics flee. Meanwhile, back over on the west side, Warboss gets suppressed. They got on the gens, but not sure if they bashed anything. They almost bashed this. There's that Purge Soul again. And some operatives on the field. Tricky little fellas with shotguns. Have some good tricks. Fallback plan allows them to break their own retreats. And they can chuck incendiary grenades. And in tier 2 they can get a melter bomb and stuff with their sergeant. Back to the east side then. Full bash maybe for Piluco. Tier 2 for Bob. Tier 2 for Piluco. Can Salatossa break out? 4-1-2 to 4-7-1. Orks now coming into support. Noise Marines getting close enough for Cacophony. And we'll see if Salatossa can push off this. Sentinel goes down. That's a big help for the Plague Champion. And there's the Bilious Discharge of the Bile Spear, which will slow down anything that gets in there, so you can slow down your own stuff with it. But it's insanely good for control. 397 to 471 on the BPs. What does Piluco get up in tier 2? Most likely not Ogrins because of that Bile Spewer, unless he thinks he can disrupt the Plague Champion enough to deliver them in there. Which he might think he can do with the Catechins. He's on the power now. In fact, both of these players on the power, which is leaving Tekesh alone, potentially against 2. We'll see what Bob does from the mid. Oh, Bob comes to help out on the east side. Brother Captain levels to 2. There's that Bilious Discharge on the strike squad. Slowing them down to a crawl. And the Bile Spirit itself passively slows down units. So if you can Bilious Discharge something and then shoot it, it basically stops still. Brother Captain went down there. Catechins doing their thing. Plague Champion again having to get close. He does have the self-heal of the Breath of Nurgle now, thanks to the Mucus Discharge. Runs off there, 383 to 465. They couldn't get on the power again. Nice little save there from Bob. I think they would have fully bashed it if he didn't show up. Purifies on the field for Bob. That's exciting to see. Don't get to see these guys running around very often. Melee superiority unit for the Grey Knights, or for the Ordo Malleus, I should say, in tier 2. Very long charge range, good damage. Power melee and heavy melee on the Justicar, and they've got a decent chunk of hit points. You can just generally be difficult to get melee working in a 3v3 when the melee squad can get set upon by control abilities from 3 players and damage from 3 players, or most often perhaps 2 in a 2v2 fight. But we'll see how they do. The Brother Captain can support melee squads superbly well with Mind Blades and Bulwark and We Are the Hammer and Ward, all sorts of things he can do. And these guys going to live. Purgation squad do get away unless there's something in retreat part. I don't think there is though. Those guys survive. Sluggers running off. Here's the Purifiers breathing themselves in flame to silence those Heretics, which is an amazing counter for those guys because it means they can't Doom Blast. Now they fight the Kommando, who's doing some good damage, but can he do it for long enough? Did a triple shot and escapes. Looters have lost the model. They got that big old Death Gun. Purifiers, you saw the damage they could do there. Have had to run off. On the west side, a Rhino is up. Twin linked heavy bolter, anti-infantry weapon, Weird Boy on the way for MangoCheese. Salatossa has a Blood Crusher. This thing has vehicle armor, very good mobility and DPS, but it's not the toughest thing around. These guys already have an assault kit, so they can't get the anti-armor kit. There's the Bilious Discharge. Doesn't affect vehicles, so the Blood Crusher can use it to its advantage, charging through there into the Lord General's retinue, which does have the medical sergeant. See him in the white there, he can hand out medical packs. And melter guns on the way. Brother Captain shows up with a new hammer. What's he got? Nemesis Steam Hammer is in. regular melee damage, but a lot of DPS. And it's got the awesome Demolishing Strike, which can stun nearby foes. Uh-oh. Blood Crusher's in trouble. Conversion Beam is here, a hard anti-vehicle weapon. Blood Crusher doesn't like that. And you get him down. Didn't last long. Did not last long. It's an impact unit. Typically you use it to force anti-vehicle purchases and harass and disrupt. It forced the purchase of a Conversion Beamer, I guess. Melter Guns will be good versus all targets. I will switch him back to shotguns now. Favors that movement speed buff, I guess. Because the Melter Gun also gives you the fight harder buff, which is quite nice, but it looks like he's really favouring the shotguns at the moment. Big protracted like 2v2 fight going on. Now Piluco though is alone. Bob has lost his stormtroopers along the way. The Lord General just got the flak jacket in for incoming, amazing buff for damage resistance. Gets his guardsman buddy back in. There goes the Kommando using the grappling hook into a kaboom. 323 to 420 on the VPs. The west side is red. Kommando then runs away after his shenanigans. Blastmaster gets a very good shot. A weapon option for the Noise Marines turns him into an artillery unit. That was the weird boy with his awesome Warp Vomit, one of his starting abilities, shutting down that Strike Squad push. How are the Purifiers doing? They got a little chunk of XP. Mantle of Terror coming in. He got the Purifiers but did not get the Nemesis Warding Staff, eh? Maybe he has the hammer in mind for knobs later for that disruption. 294 to 420 on the VPs, because a good way to avoid damage on your units is to stun the thing that's smacking them in the face. Purifiers run the hell away. Hard for them to approach the weird boy. Not sure what the plan is for that. Maybe throw the brother captain in first to try to get him to bait out the Warp Vomit on the brother captain, maybe. Chosen Plague Marines are here for Salad Tosser. Unique to the Plague Champion. Did him damage over time with those blades. Also passively damage nearby enemies, and they can turn stuff into zombies and shut down health regen with their Nurgle's Rot. And there's Touch of Nurgle on those heretics. Global ability of the Plague Champion, exploding units when they die, healing themselves and nearby allies and damaging, knocking down enemies. It's very, very powerful with the right timing. Chosen Plague Marine still pushing. Yeah, they're down to 1800 hit points these days. They still do quite well though, exploding on death and healing themselves there. And then they run off. Tier 3's coming in. Handsome Sodding, the first player to go. Looks like Tekesh will be next, and then Piluco. Brother Captain did not care about... Oh, it was a Bilious Discharge, I was going to say. Looked like he was just firing on the Brother Captain and not slowing him down, but that was actually a Bilious Discharge that went behind him. 268 to 413. Red team will push through now and maybe get a cheeky power bash. Looters will try to stop it. Shooter Boys will try to stop it. Here come the Blast Masters and the Chaos Space Marines. We do have an aspiring champion, so they could pop their slaughter in a pivotal fight, perhaps. Demolishing Strike only hits a few things because it did a special attack before it. Melter Guns are back in. Oh, and then Shotguns are back in. And now Flak Jacket coming back in from the Stabilizers. Lots of War Gear switching from Piluco. Warboss runs off. He's level 2. West side is blue for the Orks. Can the Purgation survive? They cannot. So I guess they were power bashing? Or trying to decap that? I'm not sure. But they super dead. But the captain's not happy with it. You've got some stick bombers in for Tekesh. Pretty decent melee unit actually, but they're mainly known for chucking their stick bombs, hence the name. But the captain may go down here. Those are stun bombs going in, but the captain does go down, and the stun bombs do stun vehicles, not for very long. I think it's like 2 seconds or a second and a half, but they do stack up when multiple stun bombs hit the vehicle, I believe. So you can, if you get a good hit, you can really mess a vehicle up. Rhino gets away. Strike Squad get away. Bob goes tier 3. Handsome Sodding already there, and floating resources quite a lot. Maybe looking for the old Land Raider in it. Stormtroopers being all sneaky like. Last Master trying to get shots on them though. Just setting up to defend the power here. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, what is he missing out on? He's missing out on this only. Sometimes overextending, pushing up your lane is not the thing to do. Holding your power is the thing to do. I mean, obviously it would be great to get power bashes on your side, but if it means giving up your power, maybe not. Blade Champion gets knocked back by a shotgun blast, heals himself. These guys zoomed in the Sentinel for heavy cover there. That's quite nice for those fellas. Blade Champion unable to really get the Bile Spewer going there. What are the Chosen Plague Marines doing? They're kind of standing around. Needed to send these guys in first, I think, and then try to get the Plague Champion's Bile Spewer going. A little bit of friendly fire from the Noise Marines there on that Blast Master. Big retreat, though, from Piluco. What did he say thank you for? Was there an assist? On the west side, operatives now have their sergeant. Strike squad just leveled up. Why did they level up? Something died somewhere. Here come a bunch of Orks, though, pretty rowdy. Daka on the operatives. They chuck their incendiary grenade. Oh, it's a smoke. They chuck their smoke. Okay. They got zapped by the weird boy. That will jump around to different units if they're close enough, but it did not. They were too far away from stuff. Maybe he thought they were going to break their retreat or something. Tis a lot of Orks. Bob may need to show up and help out here. Land Raider, Crusader on the way. Baneblade on the way. Super heavy vehicles coming in for the red team. Nob squad on the field though for Tekesh. Here they are, in fact, with their huge hammers already in, giving them heavy melee damage and the momentum buff on hits. Incredibly powerful. Oh hey, Grey Knight Terminators are here. They have power melee splash damage halberds. I'm not sure how they do 1v1 against the Nob squad though. It's not quite as vicious as Lightning Claws are, but pretty damn powerful. And there's Incinerate. Oh, sorry, Telekinesis is what they call it these days. Fair enough. I had no idea. Ordo Malleus stuff changes all the bloody time. Use your choppers on the Nob squad there. Global buff from the Warboss, giving him more melee skill, more melee damage. You know what? The Grey Knight Terminator did bloody well there. Bloody well there. Didn't drop a model, and they were messing up the Nob squad quite a lot, even though they were buffed. Nob squad down to 3 models. Didn't really get a sense of what kind of support both sides had there. Maybe there was just a lot of stuff shooting the Nobs, perhaps. And we do see the Nemesis warding staff for and some sodding with the 30% warding buff, damage resistance, that is 30%. And it's a pretty good power weapon in its own right. Warboss is down, Weird Boy misses, Commando's here, but it's backing off, almost level 3. There's that Purifier's ability against silencing stuff. I guess you could use it to silence the shooter boys so they can't use aiming. What's that? Brother Captain just got stunned. I can't remember the blood name of it though. You see, Purifier's so little. Here's the Crusader. Convenient las cannons, hurricane bolters, and a multi-melter on the top. Also allows you to reinforce around. It gives you health and energy regen. And it is pushing here. The second Nob squad on the field, but they don't have their heavy melee weapons yet. These days they start off with power weapons, which was a pretty cool change, I think. Hammers are on the way though. Stick bombs going in, which will do some work against vehicles here. Nob squad having to flee. Not sure why did they not have their Mina and Greenie yet, maybe. I was expecting them to pop their frenzy and go after it. Conversion beamer. Not really doing a whole lot now because there's no vehicles on the field over here. Salatos are getting double Preds out though on the east side apparently. Not much going on. Kicking off in the mid though. Chaos Space Marines using melee against the Guardsmen who flee in terror. Chosen Plague Marines getting in there. I think they do, I think it's 3.5 damage every 3 seconds or something like that. Doesn't sound like a lot, but I believe that's emanating from each model, I believe. It's not 3 damage from the squad as a whole. I think it's from each model, so that stacks up quite a lot. I think that's right. Because the Icon of Nurgle is like 10 damage every 3 seconds or something like that. Whoa! There's a Baneblade. Nob squad would use your choppers. And there's Ward on the Grey Knight Terminators. Maybe we'll see some hull work as well. Weird Boy with some friendly fire there. Big messy fight. Orks are pretty good at those. Just brute force. But this time they are sent packing by big old super heavy vehicles. Here's a Chaos Predator with the mark of Pawn, giving it more speed and more damage to its guns, but you see what the Mega Battle Cannon thinks of that. Backs it the hell off. 268 to 254. VP's very, very even here, actually. Purgation on the way now for... and some sodding. Maybe with a Psy Cannon for some anti-everything damage. And there's Paladins coming in. These guys are unique to the Brother Captain from Bob here. Heavy melee weapons, lots of hit points, and they can control movement with the Holy Grounds ability. Speeding up allies, slowing down enemies. It's pretty damn good against big old Orc armies, isn't it? How the Terminator's doing. Doing alright. Healing up around the Land Raider. There's a Lehman Russ now for Piluco. Keeping it in the mid for now. No upgrades on it. You can get a Vanquisher Cannon for anti-vehicle or an Executioner. Some short-range infantry death. There's the Battle Rights ability from Bob, was it? With the... yeah, Mantle of Terror. Some health regen on those guys. Flash Kits are here, though. Specialized against these heavy infantry when they have those blasters. You can try to set that up with a stun bomb as well. Kommando Nob's got his rocket launcher because of those big super heavy vehicles over there. Ward on the Paladins this time. Even though they're not his Paladins. Helping out his ally. I think I'd be more likely to protect the Terminators here because they are anti-infantry. Well, more anti-infantry than the Paladins are. Big armies clashing on this west side. There's a Noxious Cloud sent in by the Plague Champion, kicking off in the mid. As you can see, one Chaos Predator goes down. More stuff going on here too. They may be able to get both of the Predators. They just push a little bit here, Piluco, but here comes a Nob Squad to pressure the Baneblade. The Land Raiders okay for now. Flash gets firing upon infantry because those very fancy looking blasters won't really damage vehicles very much, doing psychic damage. Rocks. Going to take out that bunker because that bunker is passively repairing the vehicles. There we go, takes it out. Got a few rocks onto the Baneblade too. 201 to 254. An orbital bombardment chucked in by one of the Brother Captains. Getting some decent hits. I think something died in Mango's army there. And these guys getting suppressed by the Purgation. Having to pop their Frenzy to break out of it. Paladins get Weird Boy stunned as well with the warp from it. Couldn't get a model off them though. It's so hard to get a model off those guys. Now the Grey Knight Terminator is picking up slack. Can they turn and face down the Nob Squad? Nob Squad quite low here. Yeah, having to run. Red team taking the west side, 201 to 239. They have a slight VP lead. Salad tosser now with some Plague Marines coming in. The Chosen fellas are still around too, level 2. Looks like they're heading west as well. Might start to see more plays on the mid VPs. In fact, we're seeing one right now with MangoCheese, level 3 Kommando sneaking around. The Sneaky Infiltration Kit removes the energy drain from his infiltration, which is kind of nuts, considering it also gives stat buffs and grappling hook. And he's going to get a decap. He can decap while infiltrated. Back to the west side. Well, this is kind of mid. Nob Squad maybe piling through to support him with a Weird Boy and some flash kits. Gets the decap. And here's right in me crosshairs. Crunch. None of them died. Oh, one of them died. That disruption was crazy though. Knocked back every single model. Flash Kits are here, Lehman Russ is here, Nob Squad is here. And they get these guys off their VP. Might see some stuff rotate and flank. Maybe that Brother Captain with his fellas. The Orks run. Chaos Predator is way too far forward though. Way too far forward and goes down. Chosen Plague Marines. I think my general rule is don't take your tanks, don't take your vehicles in general over the halfway point, unless it's like a Blood Crusher or something with massive mobility in a 3v3, because you're just asking for trouble. Use it for mostly defensive fire support, I would think, unless you're specifically chasing something for the kill, I guess, but it's so easy to get dragged into a fight and inch up the map kind of thing, especially with a melee walker. 184 to 237. And some players would argue that's too passive. You should be more aggressive. Bob and his paladins pushing through. Level 5 by the captain here, also with the Helon Pit, Unending Purge, and Holy Armor of Titan. He's up over 1400 hit points now, level 6, he just dinged. Paladins with their fancy incinerator. Red team flowing through the mid. I think they're going to get a decap at least. The Plague Champ is dead on the east side, up in the northeast corner there. 177-237, another Land Raider Crusader on the way. This time for handsome sodding. How are they going to break through that? More Nob squads maybe, eh? One each at the moment. Got some commandos for Tekesh with a rocket launcher on the Nob. These guys can do a lot for your disrupt, fast cap, anti-vehicle, anti-infantry, area denial, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, the Crusader is going to get out with plenty of time left. And maybe to just dig in over here with the repair bunker. Purgation, stopping enemy vehicles from approaching. Holy Grounds can slow down a Nob squad. 149 to 237. Did the Nobs level? No, none of them leveled quite yet. Decent chunks of XP. Big push here. Now the Weird Boy is important for this engagement. Can he time it to stun as much stuff as possible with the Warp Vomit? These guys are going in quick. 139 to 237. Big fight here. That was the Demolishing Strike, and Ward now on those Paladins, chucking out the Holy Grounds. Look at the range, or rather the diameter of that Holy Grounds. Huge. Everything in that will be slowed down if it's an enemy and sped up if it's an ally. Huge, huge area. Nob squad unable to approach. There's too much stuff messing them up. They are rebuffed. Here comes another Nob squad though, although they are a little bit low already. Maybe they need to use Call Their Boys here. No, they're off. They're out. Is it time for the blue team to push them in? Weird Boy got a very good shot in there. There's some zombies popping up thanks to the chosen Plague Marines who are also off the field. Blue team is still here though. I think, yeah, one of the Orc players, maybe Tekesh, went in a little bit early there before MangoCheese was in position because, as I said, I think the Weird Boy is vital for that fight. He needs to open up with the Warp Vomit, or at least get it in there quite early. It might cause some panic retreats. But he wasn't quite close enough to get in on that fight. My bad, guys, says Salatossa. He's got some Chaos Terminators. Single cap for red team. Is this enough? These guys are trying to cap. I think he's just apologizing for his performance in general, losing his power a few times and stuff. But Piluco, as I said, is a very, very experienced 3v3 player. No shame in losing your lane to Piluco. 54 to 237. Nob squad tearing apart Catechins, are they? No, they didn't drop a model. They've dropped two. Oh, they dropped that fella. Pretty tough fellas though, eh? Lord General again. Switching back to stabilizers, level 6. Now getting the Commissar retinue fella in. He's got a fancy shield. Yeah, this overextension of the tank didn't help. Might have helped the western side push. And the Plague Champion as well. Can do a lot for you. Could help you get caps with the fist, or just use that Bile Spewer to mess with the Terminator variants. Nob squad with Hide the Boys to infiltrate. Thanks to the Kommando trying to get a decap. There's an improvised explosive there. I'm not sure if it's close enough to knock them back. They got the decap. And it's a no-cap game. 114 to 237. Look at this. They decapped the west side as well. Nob squad versus Paladins. Paladins with bulwark on them, by the way. Thanks to handsome sodding. More damage resistance and melee damage bonus. I think it's a 35% resistance and a 15% bonus in damage. Maybe that's the other way around. It's been changed a few times. It makes them fight good, innit? They're still tearing through stuff, and they have the inspiration on kill, of course, which is something viewers sometimes forget about with Terminators. It's a massive force multiplier if they're buffing everything around them on every single kill. That's something that a Nob squad doesn't do for you. That kind of inbuilt passive support that they have. Down to 7 VPs though with the blue team. And they're going to lose it on a single cap. Are they? No. 1-1. There it is. There's the 1-1. Red team are going to get the 2-1 though, I think. There's the Warp Vomit on those Terminators. Maybe Tekesh, they've got a weird boy of his own, eh? They're such good units. There's a Noxious Cloud, but there's a GG. Maybe not. Commando's not finished yet. But it's a 2-1. And the red team take it. Big armies at the end, eh? Had a level 3 Warboss. He did have Cyborg implants at the end. Level 3 Kommando. Chucking himself around and blowing stuff up. Plague Champion was down for a while in the northeast. Perhaps the Kommando could have got him. Back in. Level 6 Lord General and the Brother Captains. Good old Bob was almost level 8. And Handsome Sodding level 6. And they were pretty solid on that west side, weren't they? Did this thing... Oh, this thing never moved from the VP, I guess. Just left that one over there. Which makes sense. Defend that VP through the mid. There you have it, guys. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see ya next time.